Ndị Igbo has returned back to idolatry. Igbo now, today, especially the youths of Igbo, ekpeziri arụsị. And this Ikpele arụsị is being championed by the quest to return to traditional system, like natural, to worship God in the ways of your forefathers. You understand? Onye ọbụla ekwe ya sị gị na ihe a na-emezi bụ ihe ọdịnala. You understand? So this quest actually is destroying us as a people. It's destroying and if we are not very careful, it will destroy the future race of Igbo nation. Because we have returned fully to the Amalekites. Fully. What we are practicing today, both either as a Christian, Muslim, or as a traditional worshiper, is purely idolatry. I will take you to the scripture. Once again, have no other God beside me. Put that in heaven, above it, and earth below it. So, no matter the disgust in which another God came, he said, do not have any other God beside me. That is one. Two, better in Igbo today, Igbos are not worshippers because we are not servants. We are not worshippers. When you hear that Igbo's man telling you that he's a God, a reincarnated spirit, is not a worshipper, a spirit. A God does not worship a God. We are spiritualists. That is what we do. We are purely spiritual people, not worshippers. But what we have today in Igbo land is worshippers. Either worshipping in the name or in this way of Christianity, Muslim, or Islam, and then traditional. Now, today. Today, infiltration of blood everywhere. There is a lot of bloodbaths. There is a lot of bloodbath, and that's why there is death at an increase and an alarming rate, because we are polluting the soil, the land, which we did not pay anything to have it. What am I not saying? Now look at it. I believe that this particular thing is being championed by the Christians or by the ideology of Christianity. You understand? From the moment we were told that God killed his son, sacrificed his son, the blood of his son, we are saved by the blood. So people now begin to have that consciousness of, okay, blood sacrifice is good. But that was not what it was meant to be, and that is not what happened. Jesus was not killed by Chukwokike. No. He was killed by the religious leaders, the bishops, the pastors, and all the rest of them, because he championed cleansing in the religious system. He championed cleansing. We could see several times where he cleaned the Jerusalem of the merchandise of the gospel. He cleansed it. We could see in many occasions he stood against their ideologies and programs, and they find it very threatening. So they are the one. Now someone will say, if God has not allowed it to happen, it won't happen. That is a pure lie. Pure lie. Everything that comes in the mortal body, in this mortal flesh, is subject to the nature. This is nature. If you have to come by this flesh, you have to live. That is nature at its course. Christ was battered like every other human being. He grew up like every one of us, like every child. So he was a pure human being. He was a pure flesh and blood. And as a flesh and blood, he was subject to death. Notwithstanding, there are people that say that they did not see sin. Those people that say they did not see sin, most of them, we do not know how they came about. Most of them maybe spirits that descended and we are not bettered. But everyone that was bathed, that had this flesh and blood, is subject to death. And Jesus was not an exception because he was maybe a son of God. He died He was killed by men who owns this earth. Now, Ndi Igbo, currently, we are deeply into ideology, idolatry. And people are using this scenario like doing the ways of your father, worshiping like your fathers worshipped. But your fathers died. Igaga, you're not worshiping like your fathers. The people you are worshiping with is the ones that died, that live like a mere mortals. They were like a mere mortals. In Igbo cosmology or in Igbo system, blood is a sacrilege. It's forbidden to shed blood, whether that of an animal or that of a human being. Blood is a sacred thing that is not to be shedded for nothing. But today, we kill animals here and there, pleasing Amalekites and deities, and we feel like we are worshiping the Almighty. No, any God that will derive joy in blood, is what? Is evil, is demonic. Any God that has the association of a blood with him is evil, is demonic, pure demon. It's not Chukwokike. Chukwokike has nothing to do with blood. So when you're making all these sacrifices, don't say you're worshiping God, you're giving to your God of your forefather. You are not. You are purely worshiping Amalekites, the deities, witches and witchcrafts. Now, you may doubt me that I'm not making a point, but I will tell you that I'm making a point. Do you know why Igbos have the Osu caste system? Have you heard about the Ume caste system? You know, Osu is more popular, but have you heard about the Ume caste system? Do you know that in every other society, the Osu and the Ume caste system shouldn't have existed? Not because no other nations don't have them, but because they have no fear for human blood. They did what? They slaughtered their own Osu and Ume. Have you heard about why the Igbos don't steal a sheep or a ram? Now, these are points. If you study them very well, I will still talk about it more in our subsequent teachings. Now, there is a sacrilege for you that you incur when you split blood, whether that of an animal or that of what? Of a human being, and you pollute the environment. That is why you are dead. I know when we talk about this death, people think that death is by physical, maybe when the flesh die. No, this flesh can be alive and be still dead. When you cannot have dreams, when you cannot communicate, when you as a human being, you cannot communicate, when you will dream and you cannot interpret your dreams, when you cannot sit and receive revelations and teachings coming down to you, when you cannot communicate with the spirit on your own as a person, impurity, when you rely on the bishops and the pastors and the afars for you to give you everything that you ask for, you are already dead. You are just a mere mortal. You're dead. You're not a living being. It doesn't matter how holy you are. It doesn't matter how holy you think you are. You understand? Now, this death and this evil is also being penetrated and perpetrated more by the Catholic Church. I'm sorry. By the Catholic Church, they are the major architects of this evil. This evil of blood sacrifice. How? Because when you continue to feed, now, for instance, when you become a born again, you are initiated, which is called what do you call it? When you do baptism, you do confirmation. Yeah, confirmation. Then when you after the confirmation, then you are continually being fed with blood and the flesh of a mortal. That means on every daily basis, you are feeding on human blood and flesh. That is the Holy Communion, right? That is the communion. That is purely human blood and sacrifice. And it is not hidden. We all know that Jesus came on earth as a human being. His blood was splitted as a human blood. The flesh died as a human flesh. And now when you go to church every day, you're fed with this same blood and the flesh, which you accept. That means you are feeding and living on sacrilege, the same sacrilege that made cause you the death of your fathers. Is what you are feeding on. You are not different from a cultist. You are not different from that man that has been sacrificing dog, goat, and human being to his spirit or to his God. You are not different from him. And you will die a mere mortal. You die as a mere mortal. Follow me to the part 2 of these teachings.